Urban, you've had now 6 months since you guys have won the national championship. What's these last 6 months been like for you and for the program?
Well, I try to share that. I don't want to say wisdom because that sounds probably a little arrogant, but it's not. It's just that I expected life to get a little simpler when we won in '06. And the thing that I shared with our players and our coaching staff in particular is that it just gets a little more complicated. The thing that changes is you're forever brothers with the people you won the championship with. So don't expect life to be different than people don't hold it.
Yeah, well, that'd be good because we get my call letters on there, but.
So the biggest thing was just, that one's over. You got to move forward, and it's sometimes hard throwing out first pitches everywhere and all that stuff. But it's time to move on, and I think I watched that real close. Our staff and players have.
Urban, after the spring game, you laid out kind of the procedures or how you thought the conversations would go going into the quarterback competition. Has anything changed? I mean, are you ready for how that's going to go?
No, the only thing that's different is Braxton's pretty close to full speed. And JT, I'd probably say 95%. So that was the biggest thing, is get them all healthy and get them ready to go. And obviously it's going to start, the competition is going to get real intense, obviously, in August.
Going back to the question about the off season, even at an event like this, there seems to be a little more juice behind it than as opposed to past years. Do you notice that at something like this?
Yeah, I think anytime you win, and I made a comment to everybody down there, and I challenge our staff, and Gene Smith and I have talked about this, in the state of Ohio, which obviously we're from state, and the great thing is Gene's from Ohio, most of our coaches are from Ohio. In this great state's history, I can't remember a momentum like this, and that's everywhere. You know, the economy, and not that I'm that deep into it, but I have friends, and northeastern Ohio starting to move a little bit, and LeBron James has done so much for this state. And I was so proud that when I went up to Game 3 to see the energy, and this is our home state, this is my hometown, and I remember going out to Richfield Coliseum as a kid in the 70s, and the old municipal stadium on the lake, and just see the energy. To see the energy in the state of Ohio is fantastic.
Every year there's a guy, whether it's Reed Fragel or Darren Lee last year, who kind of comes out of nowhere. Who's a guy have your eye on?
That's a great question, and I'll be determined. That's the team meetings I have all the time. Who's going to be that guy? And Darryl Baldwin from Solon, Ohio, was the guy last year, starting right tackles in the NFL. 2 years ago, we're going to move him on. So it's who's going to be the guy to come step up and make a play. I can't give you names because I have some ideas, but I don't want to throw them out there yet.
Hey, Urban, you talk constantly about the importance of recruiting, and you've seen a little jump after winning a national title. The question I have for you is, how do you gauge and how do you maybe analyze how your staff has done? I mean, you've always talked about maybe wanting to be number one in the rankings and whatnot, but how do you grade the way that your staff and the way that you guys have done it as a whole?
Oh, you just, I think there's two ways to evaluate it. The winning games in NFL draft, and I evaluate our coaches very hard on our staff, and they're held accountable. And I said that about being number one. I don't really care for them because we have fewer scholars. That's too much of an abstract title, but as long as they're keeping score, we try to win. And so I think we've done great. My concern is I think we're a very good team coming back. There's a chance we're going to see an exodus of players, some very good ones, upperclassmen and maybe a few underclassmen. And I'm always thinking a year ahead, and we always are. Are we filling it back up the way it's filled right now? Because it's filled pretty good.
The 2013 class was obviously the catalyst for what you guys accomplished. And what you guys have done just every year, whether it's number one or number two or three, is trivial difference. But are there things that you're not maybe pleased with your staff with the way they're approaching it, or the things that you want to get better at? When you analyze it from being at the top and watching how all your guys go about it, are there things that you would like to see improved?
Yeah, I'm not sure this is the place to share that with. We're always evaluating, and absolutely. That's why I think the sign of a leader is that if it's going well, enhance it, keep pushing. If it's not going well, change it, fix it, and get it right. And that's not in this kind of setting, but that's what we do every day. And is there things that I think we can do better? Sure.
Urban, this is, I think, the fourth year y'all done this.
I think it is. Fourth?
Fourth?
I think so.
Yes. What does it mean to return sort of as a hero to a town you grew up in and were watching other heroes, et cetera, what does it mean to you to be able to give back?
Well, Dean is one of my closest friends since we've been in high school together, and we've always, because we went on our journeys, and he played college football, I did, and we stayed very close throughout the journey. We'd always say, because we loved it, and we're not ashamed to say, you know, I just always, now that I see my kids going through it, and we've been blessed too, that we've not had a bad situation. And I hear it because I've been in hundreds and hundreds of high schools like Dean, and you walk in and you're like, what is this? It's a mess. And I've never walked into that kind of situation. My daughter won a state championship in Florida volleyball. My son's doing great at Bishop Watterson. So you feel an obligation to make sure that you come back to a community that I love. I had the greatest time growing up here. I don't even remember the 15-foot snowdrifts outside my front house off Lake River West. But that's, and Dean and I have talked about that. Dean can answer that too, that it's to drive in your home city and to see all that. I feel momentum, because for a while I didn't. And I feel momentum, and I thought the coaches today did a great job, the young coaches out there working with the kids, and so I want to see Ashton be able to do great.
Can you answer that too? I mean, you know, be able to come back here and give back, so to speak, to your community and stuff. You guys were rivals, weren't you? Or at least your rival schools.
Absolutely. And we can spend a couple hours on that if you want.
Yeah, we did last night. Urban reminded me that St. John's beat Harbor our senior year, so we've already had that discussion. But, you know, just expand on what Urban said. This was a great place to grow up. You know, it's just got a great, you know, growing up, watching my dad, you know, his work ethic, you know, his servanthood for his family was just an unbelievable model. And that was the norm. You know, the norm when we were growing up was, you know, tough men that were leaders in their family. And then we had, you know, like Urban said, we had great coaches. I mean, Dan Platano, I thought, was ahead of his time, you know, as a football coach, and John Higgins coaching basketball. So we had great leadership there. So to be able to, you know, come back and see friends, you know, we were hanging out with friends last night. So to see friends, see Urban, I mean, as close as we are, we don't get to see each other very much. When he went from Florida to Ohio State, you know, I called him up and was all juiced. Hey, we'll just be 3 hours away. Well, it's still like we're 30 hours away because, you know, we're both so busy. So get to see Urban, see other friends, get a chance to see my mom and dad. My mom and dad are still here, and my sister's here. So get to see family, and then give back to those kids. That's what it's about. You know, you got a chance through the sport of football to teach them some things about character. You know, teach them about, you know, the importance of listening, the importance of telling the truth, the importance of being a gentleman, and then, you know, preserving the game by teaching them good fundamentals. And again, like Urban said, the coaches did an unbelievable job today. I mean, the guys that came and gave their time to volunteer were excellent in teaching kids the fundamentals of the game of football.
Who was the biggest name that ever came through here when y'all were little guys? Did Woody Hayes ever show up here?
Oh yeah, he spoke at the Touchdown Club. We had a Touchdown Club every year, and you had Vince Dooley one year, you had my year, right? You had Lou Holtz a couple times. So this Northeastern Ohio, and it's coming back, was great players came out here. It used to be great football, and it's getting better again.
But do you remember the impact that made on you to know that those kind of guys were in your town? What did it do for
Well, we
you?
were talking about that today. If you know, not that we're the answer, but if I was a young coach and we had the head coach of Ohio State, a head coach of Eastern Kentucky come here and a chance to get better, I still do that. I force our coaches every year to. It's called professional development. If you can learn a nugget from someone that's done it, you'll learn it. And so all of our coaches have to do it every year. I do it. I'm on the plane every year to the Eagles or Patriots or the Cleveland Browns or Bengals and try to get better. So this is, you know, I think it's a great opportunity that you have two guys that first of all love this place, and then second of all that have had a little success.
Urban, like it or not, you're going to have a target on your back going into next season. Your thoughts on just having that target and being at the top of the mountain?
My thought right now is I'm on vacation for 2 weeks. And, so I'm deciding either go T or just let it go. No, I'm not even worried about that right now.
Hey, Dean.
I don't mean to be this.
That's
Dean, who's going to be the quarterback at Ohio State?
I got enough problems of my own. Urban's got three guys that he can pick any one of them and do really well. We've got three what I call definite possibilities at our place. So
you welcome whoever doesn't win the job?
oh, absolutely.
Is that transfer talk again?
When you guys converse, do you find you have very similar problems even though you're in different places? You understand? I mean, Eastern's not exactly Ohio State, but
I mean, I'm sure it's exactly the same, but that's one thing that we've done that I've always appreciated is our friendship is our friendship. And when we talk, I mean, I don't think we've ever talked ball, talked shop. We talk about how's Shelly doing, how's X-Man doing, how's Trey doing, is Crystal okay? I mean, we call each other when things are going on to ask for prayer, and it's purely about just our relationship, and I think that's been healthy because it can pretty easily go towards the scoreboard and what's going on at the office and lose sight of our friendship.
Herbert, I was going to ask you. Obviously, this is the time of the year when stuff happens. You've had it happen to you at Ohio State a couple times and stuff, and you've seen around the country. What is it that you keep telling your players about July, about this time of the year, about staying out of trouble, et
It's
cetera?
just the
What
culture.
is the message?
Well, it's the power of the unit, and you've heard it many times down at Columbus, and so each guy, if you can, if you're making decisions, if you have self-discipline, self-respect, you'll be fine. If you don't, which a lot of kids don't at this age, that you have to be a bigger purpose, be part of something bigger than you, and that's the unit. We don't talk about the team as much because there's too many people, but the unit, there's 9 units, and you've heard that many times, so it's text messages are always going out. Remind them that we call when contact's made, whether it's contact on a football field or contact on High Street. When contact's made, make the right decision. And you've been trained. We train them for those decisions. It's not that you got to do it.
What was it like for you to watch your old friend here make that run through the postseason? Did you kind of live it with him, even though you weren't alongside him?
It is. It's kind of like watching your kids. You're more nervous, I think, than for yourself. When I was watching the Ohio State games, I was more nervous than I ever was at any point during the year for our games. I mean, I was pacing, wringing the hands, so for some reason, it's the same way watching, my kids play sports. I mean, I watch, my son Davin playing Little League Baseball at 7 years old, and he's up to bat, and my God, I think, I was coaching the Super Bowl against Belichick, we just couldn't stay in. I'm more at ease on the sideline coaching Eastern Kentucky University than I was watching Urban or watching Trey or Davin, play a sport.
Dean, what's your expectations of Noah Spence having played for Urban and coming from Ohio State now to your squad?
Well, I was telling some guys, the thing I've got to be able to do is figure out when to stop. I have not coached a kid like that. I had Aaron Curry at Wake Forest, was the 4th player taken in the draft, but he was different, and there were more guys that were like him that were around him or we were going to play. There's nobody like Noah Spence on our team. Matter of fact, we got an offensive tackle back that's first team all conference, and I had to put him on suicide watch in spring ball going against Noah every day in spring practice. So we don't have anybody like him that's on our team or that we're going to play. So for me as a coach, where I've had to watch myself is, hey, where do I stop? Because you don't want a guy like that to be chipped by the back. We don't want a guy like that to then be sliding the protection to him all the time. So, I've been like the mad scientist of, where to put him, how do I move him around and get him free? And so really I've had to, remind myself a couple of times, hey, that's too much. You need to stop there and, keep it simple and, let the kid play. But, that kid is about him because of the fact that Urban called me wanting to help him. That speaks volumes for him, his family. What Coach Meyer thinks about him as a person. Made mistakes, absolutely, but that coach thought that he would be a kid that would really relish a second chance and deserved a second chance, and is a good kid, a good student.
Was his little run-in, what, a month or so ago, does that play at all into his playing time or situation at Eastern Kentucky?
No, really, it was blown up, because of, who he is in a small town. I had another kid do the exact same thing, and I had to call the administration and let them know about it. Or Noah does that, and it's in the paper.
Is he on, what kind of leash is not the right word, but what have you told him is expected of him?
He has continued right along. The beautiful thing is our drug counseling people contacted people down at Ohio State. It's the same program. He hasn't missed a counseling session. He's passed every drug test. He's got all A's and B's for the semester. He's taken 12 hours this summer, and he's gonna graduate in the fall. So, you know, he came in as a guy that, I hate to tell kids, okay, hey, zero tolerance, you know, you do something wrong, you're out of here. So I don't do that. I say, hey, you got a blank slate. You've done something. That's the past. That's forgiven. Let's start out, you know, from square one. But because of these things that had happened, anytime we have a drug test, you're obviously going to be in it. You know, so it's not a you know, it's a forgive but not forget, and let's be wise about how we structure things.
Two more.
Urban, everybody talks about obviously the quarterback position, but what position are you most excited to see when you guys start camp here in a couple of weeks?
I don't know. Like I told you, I'm in vacation mode right now. I'm going to watch my son play some baseball, and we got some good battles going to happen when we start practice. We still haven't found the Devin Smith replacement yet. I'm excited to see what happens there because we have some very good young guys, the Paris Campbells and those guys. So I can't give you that. I haven't really been thinking about it.
Urban, of all the things you've done this offseason, what's been the highlight for you?
I took my daughter to Chicago and got to spend 2 days with her at Wrigley Field and some other cool things. And just family time. That's where Dean and I share the same. Our conversations are not about this. It's about, you know, family stuff.
I believe you're going to be a part of the All-Star Game festivities.
I think so. Yeah.
Your thoughts on
Well, I'm a huge baseball fan, and I got invited to. Did you know that? I think it's softball, right?
yes.
So I did, yeah. Pulling
Home
hamstring.
run derby.
Yeah, we're going to go down and play. I think it's a softball game down in Raymond.
Yep.
Hey, Urban,
Also get to go to the ESPYs. So I get to bring some players out to that, so it's going to be fun.
going back to last October, November, your body language, some of the things you said kind of indicated that you knew if you guys got a chance that your team was playing well. Was that a fair assessment?
By the end of the year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, after the Wisconsin game, that was one of the best teams I've ever been around. And not just the talent-wise, but the work ethic, the unit structure, the culture, my goodness. I've never seen a team, you throw in a film from 1 to game 15, I've never seen anything like that. And it's the same players. It's the Eli Apples, Darren Lees that turned out to be potential high draft picks. I mean, that was a group of coaches and players working relentless to get better, and no outside interference. That's what I share with our campers today. That no nonsense. The parents and or some kid, why am I not playing, or it was just none of that. It was all focused about getting better. That was one of the best few months I've ever had with a group of players.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.